Hey guys, it's Tom Logan back with another video for you. Today we're going to be looking at another new case from a relatively new company called Bitfenix. I've done some work with them before on the Colossus case. This case is predominantly designed as a kind of LAN gamer case, very much aimed at the gaming market. It's got some quite quirky features. That was my mobile phone. If I was a professional I would re-record this, but hey, this is real life. Yeah, so there are several quirky features on it. What I'm going to do is bring you in close to give you a look around the case and then give you my thoughts and opinions at the end of the video. Right then guys, you've got the Headless Horseman here. I'm going to try and stay out the way as much as possible, try not to dance too much. Anyway, case. It's got the Bitfenix soft touch all the way around the top and around the bottom, which is like a really kind of rubbery feel in it. It feels soft and sort of like smooth, but it's not sort of like squidgy. But anyway, it's like a rubbery substance. Helps against marks. You don't get fingerprints too much unless you've got like really greasy hands like I did earlier on after eating my toasted sandwich. Which is why you can see marks on it. I should really have cleaned it, but at least you can see it, what it's going to, you know, worst case scenario kind of thing. You've got three optional bays in the front. There's a 200mm fan in the front, which has a dust filter in it. And what I'm going to do is I'll spin you around to the back. This is something I really want to talk about because here we go. Right. So we can all see. Basically, when I first got this case, I spent ages trying to get the sides off and I couldn't work out what was going on. Let me try and move this light. And basically what it is to follow the design of the case round. You've got these extras and these can be removed, but you have to take them off with a screwdriver. And you have to take both of these off to be able to get the doors off. Now instantly I was straight away thinking, oh that's terrible, do you know what I mean? Always having to take these off to be able to get, you know, into your parts, but this is aimed at sort of gamers and LAN gamers. So you've got the aesthetics of that side piece, but also if you think about it, I mean I've taken the thumb screws out of the side doors at the moment. But if you're at a LAN and you've got your thumb screws in and you've got the lock on for your case as well and these bits, if somebody wants to get into the case to steal any of your bits, they've literally got to, it'll take them about 10-15 minutes of taking stuff off and then having to smash your lock off to be able to get into your case. They quite literally would have to take your whole rig with them. So not only is it, you know, good for aesthetics, but it's good for security if you are going to take it gaming as well. So yeah, for home, if you're in and out of your case a lot, it will be a complete pain in the arse. But if you're going to take it to LAN games a lot, it's also going to, you know, be pretty good. But if we just talk about the back of the case, standard ATX layout here, power supply at the bottom, which you can have your power supply both ways round. Normal 7 PCI slots, 120mm fan in the back, but there is option for an 80 in there as well. 2 water cooling grommets. And then you've got this extra grommet here, which is so that you can pass USB 3 cables out if you want. Obviously, you know, that's assuming that you've used all your PCI Expresses, but the cables are long enough to come out there to there, or if you want to come out the bottom. So the cables are all long enough. Anyway, let's move on to the top. Right then guys, onto the top, you can see the smooth lines. You've got 2 meshed areas here, and this section in the middle, which is actually quite funky. If you push this section in the middle and then lift, you've got a handle that comes out so you can carry it about for your LANs. Now the case isn't light and at the end of the day, once you've got all your rig in there, it is going to be fairly heavy, but to be quite honest with you, would you rather have a handle that you can hide away and make look tidy, or have something that's permanently there? Obviously you're not going to be carrying your case around like a briefcase, so as long as you can get it from your LAN event to your car, do you know what I mean? I think this is perfectly adequate. I'm personally not a fan of handles, but that's because I don't need one. Underneath this you've got another 200mm fan as well. And then on the inside you've got your power button, reset button, quite a clever light switch, which if you have a look, the fans in the 200mm fans have come on, and the fan and the light on the front, which you can turn off. Hopefully the camera will pick up that. You've got a couple of normal USB ports, an eSATA, microphone and audio, and then 2 USB 3 ports in the top as well. So let's get the old girl open and have a look inside. Right then guys, I've taken the 2 side sections off, so you can see these missing now. I've also taken the side panel off, which I will add hasn't got any handle or anything on the side, so you really have to try and get your fingers in behind it to get it off. So I hope they fix that in a later revision, but at least the version that I've got hasn't got anything for me to be able to get the handles off. It makes it quite difficult because the side panels are quite stiff, because they poke in down the front here. So yeah, there's not a lot for me to be able to get hold of, which I was a little bit disappointed with. A lot of you are going to immediately say that, it's very compact, and generally you don't want a massive case if you go into a LAN. But obviously we've got the 200mm in the front, 200mm out the top, and 120mm out the back. This fan I fitted, it doesn't come with one, but several retailers out there do bundle them with the fan for like an extra £5 or something silly. But we've all got 120mm fans kicking about. The optical bays, hard drive bays are toolless. It's just the normal Bitfenix sort of style. You just literally put your hard drive in, and then jobs are good. And I've currently got a Velocity in there, but it's all wired up. Another thing is, if you have a monstrous graphics card, this is only a 6870 in here, but for argument's sake, the 5870s, the 5970s, 580s for argument's sake, they would be very, very tight up against the side of the hard drive bay there. So you can literally just remove it. Gives you all that extra room for a monstrous graphics card to fall into. And then pretty much, as long as your second, if you're going to have 2 cards, as long as your second graphics card isn't in the bottom 2 slots, it'll fit out the side there. It's a bit funny with the gigabytes, because the gigabytes have the graphics cards so much further down. With normal motherboards you'd be able to get 2 graphics cards in SLI or Crossfire, massive ones hanging out the back, and you wouldn't have any problems whatsoever. Also, you can see I've got a Noctua NHD14 in there, which is one of the larger heat sinks on the market. That fits in there perfectly fine. You can also see that you've got a good 20mm gap between the top of the NHD14 and the cooling fan that's in the roof. So there's enough room around there so you can still get your hand in there to be able to put the fans on and stuff like that. So there is enough room to be able to work, although it is a little compact. But other than that, it's a very well laid out case, because it's just a basic case. The fans work very well, and they're not monstrously loud either. I've actually had this on with everything on 12 volts, and it's really not very loud at all. If I pop a cable in quickly. Now obviously I've got the Noctua on, but all of the Noctua fans are on 12 volts. The 200mm in the front is on 12 volts, 200mm in the roof is on 12 volts. And really, to me, most of the noise is coming from the graphics card. There's really not a massive amount of noise there at all. Once the side panel's on, all you're really going to pick up is noise from the rear exhaust, because these 200mm are pretty quiet, and they are moving a fair amount of air as well. So that's pretty much everything with the look around the case. I do just want to show you one more thing on the back of the case, just quickly. Right then guys, I just wanted to show you a couple of things on the back of the case before I sign off to give you my final thoughts. As you can see, this is where the side panel goes on, and then you've got a whacking, I'd say you've got 15 to 20 millimetres of room around the back of the motherboard tray there to be able to get all your cables and everything like that in. Down in the bottom of the case you've also got a power distribution for you to be able to put all your fan LEDs and everything like that in. Basically one of them is fed power from a Molex, which then puts power in, and then you can power off all the rest of the LEDs separately. So that the LEDs, what you need to remember then is it doesn't matter what speed you've got the fans at, the LEDs will stay the same brightness. So that's a very nice touch. Great little idea that, I quite like that. While we've got the back of the case off, if I just move the camera up slightly, you can see that there's a rather large cutout there, so you can easily get access to your heat sink or water block or whatever you're using to be able to change it. One thing though is the 8-pin power for the motherboard. There's a little cutout up the back here, and if your 8-pin power for the motherboard is one piece, what you'll have to do is stick it up behind the back of the motherboard before you put the motherboard actually in and fix it in. If you want to stick it out through the gap, it needs to be able to break into 2 pieces because there's not enough room. If it breaks into 2, you can get it up and round. If it's just one piece on your power supply, then you will have to just stick it up the back. Now, I stick it up the back on loads of my builds just to keep things tied in. It helps keep it held nicely in on the case, so it's not too much of a negative, but it is something to bear in mind. Anyway, you can see the cable mess here because I haven't really bothered to try and keep too much tidy. All the front panel and everything like that panels are, you know, just normal wires. So if you're a modder, you'll have something to do there for your braiding and stuff like that to be able to keep it all in, to make it all nice and tidy. But yeah, let's get my final thoughts on the case. Right then guys, final thoughts on the Bitfenix Survivor. There's some quirky things that I don't particularly personally like, but I completely understand why they're there as well, or I can definitely excuse me, I can definitely see the bonuses of having them there, like the sections for the back of the case. Oh, that's the right. Oh, no, it is. There we go. Like the sections for the back of the case, I don't particularly like the fact that you have to take these off. But if you're worried about security or you're really into your aesthetics, once your rig's built, then that won't really bother you. But it was just one of the little niggles that I had, the fact that you have to be able to unscrew them and screw them back in. The other thing was the fact that there was nowhere for me to grab to be able to get the side panels off, because once they go on, there's basically, I'll show you, there's nothing, it's just a flat edge, so there's nowhere for me to be able to get my hand around it. I do like the fact that you can turn the lights on and off, and they're not dependent on the fan speed. You can actually turn them on and off independently and run the fan speeds independently. That's a nice feature. I like the fact that you can take this in and out as well for your graphics cards, so that's a nice tidy feature. The compactness I quite like as well. I'm still not 100% sold on the rubberified coating. I'd quite like to take one away for a weekend and literally just leave it bouncing around in the back of the car to see how that goes. But for the Colossus that I've got sat beside me, it's not got any like massive dinks or anything like that. And I suppose the other thing that you need to think is, where it's rubberified, it's not going to get scratched up as much as some of the heavily plastic cases will do if scratched about and sort of like dinked with stuff in the back of your car if you are taking it to lands. Another minor niggle is the fact that it doesn't come bundled with a fan for the back. But as I said, a lot of retailers are bundling with that now, and at the end of the day it's not like it's a completely random fan size. It's a 120mm fan in the back, so at the end of the day quite a lot of us are going to be changing these anyway, and at least then you can, but if you want a red LED fan you can get one, if you want a plain one you can get one. It kind of gives you that option as well. So the long and short of it is it a good case? If you're a gamer, I think you'll like it, although some gamers might like it to look a little bit more like an Alien Landing or Blackpool Illuminations. The handle I think will be brilliant for those avid lanners, and looking in the camera at the moment that actually looks a bit like an aerial or something stuck out the top. But yeah, in a strange way I like it, and then in other ways I don't like it. I know there are going to be people out there, if you're out there, because it's priced very well. I know there are going to be people out there that are going to get this and are going to love it. It's perfect for a LAN rig. I just can't see it being massively, people really wanting it as a home rig. I think it's very much aimed at that gaming mobile market. In the Netherlands and in the States, where you've got massive LAN communities, I can honestly see this being very popular. But for use at home, I probably would go as far, quite shockingly to say, there's probably some better cases out there if this is just going to be sat on your desk and you're not going to move it about very much. So, I'm still going to give it a thumbs up because it is, apart from those couple of niggles, it is still a well designed case, and it is very well put together as well. It's not flimsy at all. The plastics and the rubbery kind of coating, it all fits lovely. So yes. Another thing I would like to say is, if you're watching this video, please go and go to my channel, because over the next say week, I'm actually going to be using this case for a few other reviews that I'm going to be doing. I am going to do a Noctua, an HD14 versus the Silver Arrow in this case, and I've also got a video review guide, whatever you want to call it, coming, which is going to be an introduction to water cooling, which I'm also going to be doing in this case. So yeah, you're going to be seeing a little bit more of this over the next week or so, so please make sure you check back because they are going to be coming. Today is November the 12th, by the way, 2010, so if you're viewing this after that, then the videos may already be up. If you like my videos, please remember to subscribe and comment. Tell your friends, tell your neighbours, put it on your blog. I don't mind what you do as long as you say nice things. But this is Tiny Tom Logan with another video review for you, out.